I thought we were doing.
Hey,
Okay, yeah.
you're not about the rules, it's not me.
Oh, it's not. I'm trying to stay compliant. I need a team of lawyers, though. Listen.
Gosh. Good evening. Would you stand with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please?
Will you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, as we gather this evening, we ask that you give wisdom and good judgment to our mayor and council members as they are faced with leading our community. We ask that you bless our city administration, our community, and citizens as a whole in all things. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Chad, did anybody sign up on the...
Yes, sir. Yeah, don't worry, Teresa, I got it.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of Vienna City Council for May the 12th, 2012. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll that Councilman Bibby and Councilman Leach are absent this evening. Having a quorum, though, we will proceed. First item on our agenda this evening is our public forum. We have two people that have signed up to speak. Gia Schaefer.
Hello, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman.
We ask you to speak into the microphone, please.
No one's ever said they couldn't hear me. That's right. Thank you. I'm here today. My name is Gia Schaefer. I live on 1106 51st Street in Vienna. Been there for 31 years. You might not know me, but my husband was also raised in Vienna, across from the Vienna School, and his mother still lives there today. So Richard Schaefer. And I'm here to talk a little bit, hopefully very quickly, about street maintenance issues that I have on 51st Street. But before I start, I hope this is going to be something where there's a path forward. So I'm here to, share some issues, and hopefully there's some, not just to hear myself talk, to get some feedback afterwards with some of these issues. First, want to start with an appreciation. Been on that hill in 51st Street. If anybody's been at the end of 51st Street, it's a dead-end street. And on top, there's a hill. And in the 31 years, I've never had a problem going up or down that hill. And that has a lot to do with the snow removal that the city does. An excellent job. If they could only help me with my driveway, everything would be perfect. Also, because we're a dead-end street, there's one way in and one way out. So a few times in the 30 years, the tree has fallen across the road, and within an hour, the city has come and cleared it off. So we, really do appreciate the quick response in that. The issue I'm having is, I think, I don't understand the process in the city when we have, I don't want to say minor issue because it's major for me, but minor in the whole, cityscape is the street cleaner. For many years, the street cleaner had come up our street every week, done an excellent job, and we were spoiled, I think. But since we got the new street cleaner, I guess we've had issues with the old one, and it had to be replaced. I've only seen it twice in about 8 months. The problem with that is we're on a hill with a lot of oak trees, a lot of dirty oak trees, not only in the fall, but in the spring. Right now, they're shedding. And what happens there's three issues that happens when it's not being picked up. One is aesthetics, right? It just looks really not good. Today in spring, as beautiful it is, as green as everything is, I have dead leaves all over the street. Second thing is more of a personal issue. Somebody designed our driveway so that when the wind blows, all those leaves that are sitting in the street end up in front of my driveway. That's a normal thing every year, maybe 3 bags of leaves I have to pick up. I'm on bag 21. You know, I really miss that street cleaner. And the third thing is, with all that stuff that gets then down into the street, washes down, the storm sewers at the bottom of the hill now are backing up during heavy rains, even mediocre rains. That's never happened in 31 years. And I think it has to do with all that stuff on the street that used to be cleaned is now going into the storm sewers. So I'm kind of requesting, you know, can we get back on the route? And the second request is those storm sewers, the first ones are useless. The second one that backs up, if they could be cleaned up, I don't think you'll ever have to clean them again once the street cleaner comes up. So just to say, it's a minor thing, I know, it's a dead-end street, but it's caused some issues, and I couldn't see any process in your webpage, you know, to say, hey, if you have any issues, you know, please call this or do this. So somebody suggested I come here. The second thing, the road is 32 years old. It was put in 1989. And going up the hill and on the flat end of the hill, there's been degradation of the road over the years. The city has, you know, made some efforts to patch some of those issues with the road having a 3-inch drop, putting some blacktop on. It fixes the issue for a temporary basis, but within, you know, less than 6 months, there's now a hole. I know the city has done some work. You know, what I'm looking for, I guess, is there a list of city streets that need to be worked on as money becomes available? And how can I get 51st Street on that list? I've seen, like Linwood Drive just recently had a nice section of their hill replaced. I've also seen 51st Street a few years back have, near the country club, have it repaved. So I know work gets done, streets are in good shape, but we're forgotten up there, you know what I mean? 3 houses, all the woods up there. So again, what is that process, and how can we talk to someone to get on that list? I don't expect it to be fixed tomorrow, you know, in this next 5, 6 years would be great. And
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
You will, thank you.
That's it.
That's great,
All
thank
right.
you, appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Henry Sasson.
Hello, Henry Sasson, 1307 Greenmont Hills Drive. I'm here today to let everybody know that PHS High School is starting their annual fundraiser. They're selling raffle tickets, 250 only. It's for 2 WVU football tickets. WVU gift basket is second prize, and third prize is a $50 gift certificate. So if anybody's interested, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Okay. The minutes from the regular session on April the 28th and the special session on April the 29th have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. Mr. Leach is not able to attend this evening. You all should have received a reconciliation of funds and the short budget report. Based on our reconciliation of funds, the city is solvent and all of our bills are paid. We have no unfinished business this evening, and so we'll move into unfinished business. On our agenda this evening is an ordinance on second reading, amending Vienna Municipal Code 127.01. On composition, is changing the rank structure of the Vienna Police Department. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Vienna Municipal Code 127.01 composition is hereby amended to such that law enforcement officer rank structure of the Vienna Police Department is composed as follows: 1 chief, 1 captain, 1 lieutenant, 5 sergeants, and 13 patrolmen. The number of patrolmen may be increased or decreased hereinafter by council by ordinance or resolution. The chief of police may hold the rank of captain, lieutenant, sergeant, or patrolman concurrently. I'll entertain a motion for the approval on second reading of an ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code 127.01.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the ordinance on second reading. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code 127.01 on second reading, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. We now move into new business. First item on our agenda this evening is an update on the Jackson Pool.
Yes, my computer is doing something right now. I was trying to find my update here. Okay, my apologies. All right, so right now we have an RFQ that is written. It might need some adjustment based on our conversation that we just started to have, and I need some clarification on that. The plan is to have it to Amy tomorrow so that she can get it published next week. And they will have 2 weeks, it will run for 2 weeks for any firms to send us their qualifications. So I guess then, well, and let me give this other update. So I'm working on a mailer that will go out to Jackson that they can send home with kids about the Summer Y program. And I'm going to give them a brief overview just to have everything kind of together all at once about what we're offering kids and families, and, you know, an update on the pool status and that kind of stuff. So I'm working on that also. So if you don't mind, let me ask if you could clarify that for me as far as the request for qualifications, because do we need to, it was my understanding from the code that we needed to interview all the interested firms and that we would select somebody from that based on their qualifications.
Okay, so the process for that is you put the notification out in the newspaper.
Yes.
That any interested engineering firms that would need to respond. At that time, in your RFQ, you need to lay out what you're looking for and what requirements that you're asking of these engineering firms to submit.
Okay, we have
Typically, it's letters of recommendation, experience that you've had, and at that time, then whatever engineering firms respond, then let's say the last RFQ we had 8 engineering firms respond.
Okay.
All right. So then we looked through the information that they sent us back, and we selected the top 3, the top 5, whatever it is that you want to interview. Of those top candidates, you have to prepare a matrix. The matrix is basically a set of questions that you ask each one of the firms exactly the same question. Mm-hmm. And then you rate them based on whatever their answers are or whatever the qualifications are that they have. Once you do that, you evaluate the matrix. The top score is the one that is selected.
Okay.
And it's based on, you know, it's a point system.
Right.
Every question's given so many points, okay?
Okay.
And so whoever's the top point getter is the one that is the RFQ. The holdup in this whole process is you are not allowed to ask how much they charge.
Right.
That's a problem, because you might get an engineering firm that comes in here and they say, okay, we charge $10,000 an hour. I know that's a ridiculous number, but, you know, but then you might have a firm that says, we'll do that for $100 an hour. All right. And that's where the problem comes in. You can't select it immediately because, one, you don't know out of all the ones that have applied who will be the top point getter. All right. But that's how the process starts, is you have to have a equal playing field to determine that, one, they have the qualifications, they have the experience, and they can do whatever it is you're looking for. Then the second part of that process is, can you afford them? And that's where the holdup comes into, because you can't just say, I'm going to hire, you know, Joe's engineering firm, because it may be ridiculously expensive, or it may be so cheap that you probably won't get the services that you're looking for.
Okay, so then let me ask, because I think we're on the same page here, I think. Because what I had put together was that we would need their qualifications. They would need to provide 8 bound copies for review, so each of us would get one. And they need to be in by June 1st. Then I was thinking June 2nd, I'll get it to everybody. So we've all got several days to look over what they've sent us. Let's say we have 5 firms respond. Everybody would get 5 packets, and we could look that over. And then I had planned on having a special council meeting on Tuesday, June 7th, just specifically for that purpose, so that we could have the packets in front of us and interview them, fill in the matrix like you're talking about, and all of that would happen that evening. Are we saying the same thing?
So far, the procedure's correct, yes.
Yes, okay, good. So then, let's say we choose, there's 5 that submit, and we choose firm A. You would think, okay, based on your qualifications and the matrix, it all panned out this way, so firm A, we're going to select you. Then the next step is, then that's when we really sit down with them and start talking about the details, right? We're looking for this, we're looking for this, we're looking, all these things. And then they can say, this is how much it's going to cost. If it comes back and we're like, whoa, no way, then what? Then you
go back to the second highest point person.
Okay. And see what they are.
Yes.
Okay. If that one's higher than the first one, can we go back to the first one? I'm just trying to.
Well, it depends on if you can afford them or not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, these are.
Or you just keep going down the list until you find one that
you can afford and meet your requirements.
Okay. All right, good. So then I think this will still work.
Okay. I have not seen your RFQ.
Okay. So
have you ran it by Russ?
Yes, Russ has seen it, the park board has seen it, and Steve Black has seen it. All of them have said yes. And so as soon as I have your eyes on this to make sure that we're on the same page procedurally, I want to make sure we're compliant with all of that stuff, then I think we can probably move forward. So that gives us an opportunity, just as council, to not have to add this to other agenda items. I don't want to be rushed on this. I want us to be able to just say, this is the focus of this particular evening. So if that sounds good, then I guess everybody kind of stay tuned. I'll have you look this over one more time, and then we'll move forward on that. Is that good?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions about where the process is that we're going through right now?
Say you interview 5 engineering firms, and like all 3 scored in their 90s. It used to be an A. And what would be wrong with letting those 3 submit a bid so that you're getting the work done at the lowest possible cost?
That's too common sense, Tom. That's not the way it works. You can't ask them how much it costs in this process. It's backwards. I agree with you.
Well, I didn't catch it. I do remember you saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it just is. And the problem with this is, I'll guarantee you, based on, I've done several of these, and based on, the quality of the engineering firms that we have around here, they're all going to score high. Okay, very high. And so it makes it extremely tough to pick one of these firms, because a lot of them are very qualified. All right. And so, the group will have to pick which one, and then there'll have to be another process to talk with them and interview them and discuss money. I'm sorry, it's not fast. It's just the way they made it. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to, I'm going to keep pushing as fast as we can. That's why I'm thinking the special meetings are a good idea, to just keep this moving forward as much as we can, check the boxes and stay compliant and do things in the right order. I'm going to keep pushing on it. So, okay. All right, great.
We're running out of time.
I think we're on the same page with that. So that's good. And all right.
It's like one of my professors said, common sense and common knowledge are uncommon.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. If there are no more questions on that, we'll move on to the second item, and that's a discussion on the payment options for the pool project.
Yeah, so I in no way want us to begin talking about, like, we're not setting anything in stone. We're not saying we're definitely going to do this or definitely going to do that. But because of our time crunch that we're in, I don't want us to get to the point where we're like, okay, how are we going to pay for it? And we're having to start from scratch. I would like us to have these conversations now so that we know what our good options are and really kind of what kind of things are we anticipating from maybe these engineering firms, how I want the quickest path forward that can get us to a finished product. Okay. So we need to be having these conversations about, and I've tried to look up and I've asked Russ for his input as far as like lease revenue bonds. There are all different kinds of bonds that you can do. I know that he wasn't sure if we could do that particular kind of bond that we did for the police department because it's a pool and it doesn't serve the same, it's recreational. It's not like a department of the city. So we need those kinds of details on that kind of stuff. So we need to talk about maybe what our comfort level is with capital reserves. We just need to start putting things on the table and saying, obviously, we probably won't be paying for this whole thing out of capital reserves, right? What are our financing, options? How comfortable are we with doing that? Is there a certain percentage? I would like to see us kind of work things into percentage. Like, let's do a certain percentage that we're going to go out and fundraise for. I could see members of the community getting on board with, saying like, I'll buy a diving board, and somebody else might buy a cabana and somebody else might buy a whatever. And, we can fundraise. So maybe we need to come up with a particular percentage or a list of things that we would like to have paid for. We can begin working on that also. And then we know that everything above and beyond that is something that we're either going to include in a bond or do financing for, or take a percentage out of capital reserves or whatever. So I wanted to open this up so that we can begin having some constructive conversation about it so that when that time comes for us to pull the trigger, we're not flat-footed. We have done some of that work ahead of time, and then we can start working with real numbers. Right now, we're not working with any real numbers, but I think it's important that we go ahead and go over these details and continue to do our research and see how far we can get so when that moment comes, we're ready.
Well, I think it's important, and you noted this, that we just don't want to throw a number out there. That's counterintuitive to everything, because that kind of shows your hand and lets everybody know what you're comfortable with paying. So I appreciate you putting that out there, and then we need to keep that top of mind and be cautious of it. Back in, I think it was in January, the first of the year, I did have a really good discussion with the finance director regarding lease revenue bonds. And I, think that we can do this for the pool, because we can, basically what happens is the pool becomes an asset of the building commission and our code. We already have that language in the code. Perhaps it needs to be looked at and updated, okay? But a lease revenue bond would be a good way to go, something that we could consider, because the pool becomes the asset, right? And then we pay out of the general fund the lease. We rent the pool 12 months out of the year, right? And then the pool is under the control of the building commission, okay? So I think all that can be set up. It's going to take a while to package. And so you're absolutely correct. We need to be, if that's the avenue we want to take or consider, we need to start working on it, because it just doesn't say, you're just not going to overnight say, boom, we're going to do this. One of the things, because we will need a building commission, and it's a 3-member board, so we'll have to go through the process of selecting who that would be, who would serve on that, and so on and so forth. So I'm with you. I think we need to get down into the details and figure out what we want to do. But once again, top of mind is not throwing a number out there to anybody.
So with the like you're saying, like in that process, if that's going to be a 2-month process to get something set up, then we need to be doing it yesterday, you know? So that's, to me, going to weigh heavily on whether we use it or how much we use it. You know, are we doing things in sections? Are we splitting this thing up into different ways we want to pay for it? Or are we doing the whole lump sum one particular way? Tom?
A revenue bond, isn't the total source of payment from a revenue bond that project? Wouldn't the bond payments be made from the profits of the pool?
And I see. I was looking at stuff like that too, and I was confused about the revenue coming in and paying for
Well,
it.
there's a difference between a GO bond, a general obligation bond, and a revenue bond. And I think a revenue bond gets the money to make the payments from the revenue of that project. Like if you're going to do it for the sewer system or the water system, then the water department, the funds from the water department would be the only source of income to pay for those bonds. And I think a revenue bond is project specific. I'm not sure of that, but I think.
I wonder how they, in that case, then how it worked with the police department, because they wouldn't have. Is that the same
This
thing?
is a lease revenue bond.
So it's
That's
different?
the key word, lease revenue bond. So once again, it becomes the asset of the pool commission, okay? And that's the collateral for the bond, is the pool, the property, okay? And so I'm just throwing out a number. Say we wanted to finance or wanted to have a lease revenue bond for $500,000, okay? So, and that's spread out over 20 years or whatever. So we would know every month we would have to pay the building commission X amount of dollars to meet the debt service on that for the 20 years until it's paid off. Okay. So that's, I understand what you're saying, but this is a lease revenue bond.
Okay, so let me answer Tom's question. The police department was paid for with a fee. There was a fee set that only existed until the note was paid off on the police department.
That's a specific.
Absolutely. But there was a number that was determined, and it was on everybody's water bill for, I don't know how long it took. It wasn't very long, okay? The problem with it, what you're referring to, Kim, is if you take that lease, then you have to pay these payments out of the proceeds, okay? There's not a pool that ever makes money, and I'll guarantee you, even a brand new one is going to lose money because that's just the nature of it. The pool that we've had for years has lost money every year for as long as I've been around.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that. You're never going to make money
you
off
won't have a
pool.
revenue source off that.
Well,
You would put it in
we
as a-
need to look into it because I just disagree because I've seen it, I've read it. So
Well, no. You can't do it off the revenues of the pool. You would do it as a budget line item where you would say, we're going to lease this piece of property.
right.
It
That's
has
what I
nothing to
said.
do with the amount of money that it makes because it'll never do it.
Right. That's what I said. It
The
would come
budget
out of the
would have to
general.
account for that.
Right. It would come out of the general revenue fund, okay? And we would budget it every year like we normally do. So under the pool, if we had an obligation of $100,000 to meet that for the year, that would be put in the budget, and so we would know.
Okay, so let's do this because I think we still need some clarity. And for me, sometimes I need the visual, and I would like to see wherever it's written down, whether it's in a code or whatever it is, if it's from a financial institution or look at our ordinances for how we do the building commission and all that stuff. If between now and the next meeting on the 26th, if you can gather whatever you have, submit it to me. We'll put it together in the supporting document so that we can all look at it. And in the meantime, Russ can look at it and he can give us some clarity on that too. So that way we have 100% clarity, because it's not something that I'm not saying that there's argument happening, but we don't need to argue over something that it's just a fact. So we just need to make sure we have our facts straight and can deal with that. So again, that's why I want to do this now so that we're not.
Just as a matter of procedure, whatever information that we're gathering has to be submitted to Mr. Leach. He's the chairman of the finance committee. Okay. And so,
Okay.
and then it has to go by Russ to make sure that that's the proper procedure. All right.
Okay.
So that's where it has to start.
Okay.
And then it'll come back to budget and finance. and then Budget and Finance would make that recommendation to present whatever information comes back to council. Okay?
Okay, so then maybe we need to continue to expedite this. Let's see, there's today, because Budget and Finance won't meet until June 7th, and I would rather not wait till then to have clarity on that. So we could call a special Budget and Finance meeting. Can we do, everybody gather things for a week or however long it takes, and then we'll notice, put out a Budget and Finance meeting as soon as we think we have the information. Can we do that then? Because that way we're continuing to move forward on this and not having to wait for meetings to happen.
Tom, you're friends with Dan Marshall,
Yes, sir.
and Dan Marshall's an expert bond man in our area. Would you be willing to reach out to Dan and see if he would be willing to meet with us to give us the bottom line on all these different options?
Yeah, yes, sir. I have his phone number right here.
I'm sure you do. Okay. All right.
If he has any questions, I'll tell him to call you.
That's fine. Okay. And as soon as Dan's scheduled, he lives, he's right here local.
Okay.
Then we will get Dan and we'll get together. We'll have a special Budget and Finance meeting.
Okay.
And then let Dan explain the options. Anyone's welcome to come, Kim. Okay, so bring your questions. It's not a matter of that. Okay? And then we'll take all the guesswork out of it.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
that'd be great.
I'll have to remember to do it.
Well, I can't help you with that, Tom. Put a string around your finger, okay? Put your hat on backwards or something.
I can hound you if you need me to. Okay, good.
That would help.
All right.
I have a comment. I believe the file folders that I reviewed that you had in 1996-97, it was financed in a similar way, and there's a lot of information in there that might be helpful. I don't know, but it may be. It was a large renovation of the pool itself, so there may be some helpful information in there.
I say we bring that stuff, bring it and see if that's something that we need to flip through as we're going in the meeting. Is that okay?
Oh,
I don't know
it's
what the-
available.
what
It's
the-
just about a 3 or 4 inch thick file that,
Okay.
All
All right. And if you've already reviewed it, then you know where everything is, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
Did he mention that this is his last council meeting?
Is it? I don't think it is. When is it?
Oh,
When
it's
is it?
close.
It's close. I know he's counting down the days. We'll get you. All right. So let me see here. So that'll help us understand the bond more. Thoughts on the fundraising idea. I'm looking at how do we secure funds as quickly as possible. And I think it also helps to have that community interest and the buzz and the support and the buy-in and all of that. So personally, I like the idea of putting a price tag on things and saying, hey, if you want to be a part of this, this is how you can do it.
I think that's a good idea. But one thing, that's going to take time. And you seem to be impatient.
I am very impatient.
That's one of my faults, but
So with the time involved in that, and this is me procedurally, again, you guys have to keep me in compliance because I'm moving, okay? But with that fundraising, is that just something I need to get with Russ on and Amy, and we can put together a letter or a form or something and start putting it out there for people? Is it that simple? Because it seems that simple to me, but again, this is government, so maybe it's not. What does that look like for fundraising, whether it's an individual like myself or whether it's a foundation or a business that wants to contribute? What complications am I not thinking of that would not make it that simple?
foundations may take a little while to act. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
I think we have several good foundations in the community that can be approached to see what kind of contribution they would be willing to do.
One moment.
Got it.
Yes, sir. Yes. We're in the middle of a discussion on financing for the pool. Okay? So I have a quick question for you. It was suggested that that the city of Vienna reaches out to area businesses or foundations to request funding for various pieces of equipment or the pool itself. Is that, hold on. Russ, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was sure I was right on this one, and so I didn't want to say anything, so you get to tell them that answer.
Hold it up there to the
You
microphone.
want me to tell them the answer?
The question is, can the city of Vienna solicit funds, whether it be through the average person or through a foundation, for any of the pool project?
The city of Vienna cannot solicit donations from any of its constituents, whether they be private individuals or businesses. Employees of the city of Vienna cannot solicit on behalf of the city of Vienna for donations, whether from private individuals or from businesses. It would be a violation of the Ethics Act. There's an opinion on it somewhere that I've read. We've dealt with this issue several times. That's part of the reason that I think caused a group of citizens to form the Friends of Vienna, which is an entity separate and apart from the city of Vienna.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Russ?
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to say that one of the best partners of the city when it comes to recreation is Vienna Recreation and Improvement Association. And we have funded over the years many projects and put things in the city and helped. So right there is one avenue that could be used, as it has been in the past,
So maybe they
to be
can
funded,
solicit.
to generate funding or to seek out the foundations and things to get the funding.
All right, Russ, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Yeah, foundations are a separate entity.
Tom, the reasoning behind that is, and it's a matter of transparency, the city of Vienna as itself cannot go out to a business or whatever and solicit a donation for a project, because if they said, okay, we're going to give you, X amount of dollars for this, and then the next thing that happened is they would receive some sort of a contract or whatever, there's a chance that there could be some impropriety there. So the Ethics Commission says that the city of Vienna itself cannot request funds from any person or any place. It has to be an outside agency, which, as you've suggested, Chuck, Vienna Rec, I'm sure, they do that. And, the Friends of Vienna, I know, does also. But at any rate, as far as any of us or our employees, it's prohibited.
Okay, so it's not impossible to do fundraising, the city just can't do it.
Correct. Oh, no, if you can get someone to give you money, you betcha. But we can't do it. Okay?
Okay, all right,
Still impatient?
absolutely. You need me to stay that way to get this thing done. All right. It's a good thing I'm on the rec board too.
It is. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. All right. So keep your wheels turning on these things. I'll stay on Tom with getting Dan, then we'll get with Jim to call a special budget and finance so that we can get into the weeds of the bonds. Okay. And then that will help us understand what that option is a little bit more so that then we know what else we need to consider. Awesome.
Okay, there we
Great.
go.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. That concludes our agenda this evening. We'll now move on to council comments.
I do have a comment this evening. Along with what I talked about, Vienna Recreation Improvement Association, I think that I would be very remiss in sitting in this seat if I didn't talk about soccer fields. Mike Elam sat here as a councilman, and he was willing to try to move a mountain to get some soccer fields. And I would just like to ask council to make that a priority. We have a very large group of kids, 450 this spring, and we maintain that. That's about as many as we can actually handle with the facilities that we have. They wear them out. We need a complex. We need several fields. We need more than one. So I would just ask in honor of Mike and just bring it forward myself, try to make soccer fields for the community of Vienna a priority. Thank you.
We started working on that today, Chuck. Honest to goodness, we can't get ahead. The excavator blew one of the hydraulic cylinders. So, it's going to be 3 weeks so we can get that stupid thing fixed. And it's like, we're taking another 12 foot of dirt off that mountain over there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're working at it. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this side of the table is a little impatient. I'm not sure about this side of the table. Okay.
Well, I have a question in regards to that because we have seen a lot of activity, dirt being removed up there. I went to the park board meeting last night and it was discussed. So can you bring us up to date where that dirt is going and what's happening with that on Spencer's Landing?
I'm going to fill in the hole.
Okay, so you're going to fill in the hole where the trees were.
Correct.
Then what's happening there?
At that point, we're going to, obviously, we're still working on the kayak launch. All right.
To be placed at that northwest corner?
There's some other things going in place there. Okay. I mean, there's some other things in the place of that location. All right. And so, but we still have to fill that hole. No matter what we do, we still have to fill the hole.
Okay, so I understand you have to fill the hole, but then I start to get a little concerned when you say other things going in place where it's already been decided, there was no we about it, but that the kayak launch is going there. So
when we applied for the FLAP grant, that was the location that we submitted. Mm-hmm. All right. The master plan that the park board is going to give us whenever it's done, had another suggestion. And so we've explored that location and we're evaluating which of those two locations would be the best place for that. Now, in order to make this go, we have to go back and get permission from the FLAP grant in order to submit another location. So at this point, we're proceeding forward with the location that we submitted with the backup plan of the other location that the master plan suggested because that was in the master plan.
Okay,
so we're gathering information.
Okay, so that brings up another question. In the master plan, that was contemplated in the southwest corner, but of the Spencer's Landing, of the same piece of property. Are we considering the FLAP grant, the kayak launch rather, to be applied at another location that's not Spencer's Landing?
I'm not going to discuss that, Kim.
Well,
until I get the information back. All right.
So
you'll get an update when I get an update, and I have not gotten it yet. All right.
Well, once again, I come back to my concerns about Spencer's Landing, that things are moving around and happening, and council's not involved, and I do not want to see this be a situation where the kayak launch ends up a little further south and not at Spencer's Landing, where it's been contemplated since October of 2020. So I still believe that we should be having those conversations in council about that, and the public needs to be made aware of it, and we need to be as transparent as possible, and there needs to be buy-in from the public, from the residents of Vienna.
There are so many balls up in the air because of the master plan, because of the plans that were put. We're still having public meetings. I've met with it's interesting. I've met with a group of men. I've met with a group of women. We're working on the meeting with the students, and we're meeting with a group of seniors to just get a poll of what you would like to see in that location. All right. Now, I'm not going to give you all of the different things that are being discussed because there's just too many of them. All right. Now, when these things finally start to shake out, as this seems to be a priority, we have all of the information from where we sent out the flyers asking for people's suggestions. All right. Now we're just trying to be a little more forceful to get a plan going together, which will then be permitted or presented to council. All right. So it's not like nothing's being done. There have been things being done in every direction that you can see.
Well, I appreciate the things being done. What I'm asking for is just to communicate with us what those are instead of, so we have an opportunity to weigh in instead of If you're not going to put it on Spencer's Landing, and this is being considered, I think the council and the community need to know about it as soon as possible before it becomes one of those things where it's a done deal. We're going to put it south of Spencer's Landing, and everybody just, that's what we're going to do. I don't want to see that, because we've already gone to the effort of the flat grant, and everybody's got their mind set on this, and the master plan, and so on and so forth. So that's my caution about it.
Okay.
I have a few things. Speaking of Spencer's Landing and the students, we are going to have, I've spoken with Ms. Lodi, you and I talked, that we are going to, for the sake of being compliant with the Open Meetings Act and that kind of stuff, we are going to call a special meeting on Friday, May 20th at 10:30 at Jackson Middle School. We will not meet here. We will go to the students, to the library, to hear directly from the students that have worked on this. They'll have a PowerPoint presentation and all of that. We'll also record it so that anybody who isn't able to attend can hear it. So that will be noticed in the proper time that it needs to be done. So that is coming up on Friday, May 20th at 10:30. We needed to do it at the best time for the students, and with their testing and end of the year activities that are going on, we didn't want to let them graduate out of Jackson without hearing from them. And they were not going to be able to make any of our May meetings. I want to thank Mayor Rapp and Craig Metz for their quick response on the Valley View Circle cul-de-sac repair. I had a resident reach out to me about some disrepair and how it had kind of fallen apart, the curb area, and they got right on it. And I'm not sure if it's completely done yet, but she was really, really tickled that it's being worked on. So thank you for that. I also want to congratulate Chris Mancuso. Everything's not certified yet and completely official, right? But congratulations. Looking forward to serving with you up here. And I think that's all of my comments for tonight.
Chris, I also want to congratulate you. Anybody that's brave enough to run for office, it's tough. And but I did speak with Mark Rhodes today. Mark's of the opinion that the canvas and everything should be done by next Wednesday. All right. As soon as next Wednesday's over and you are certified as the winner, then we'll get you sworn in, and then you have to go to work. Okay. Pretty simple. Mr. Fehrenbacher, unfortunately, I think you're going to be in for a little closer count. You and Mr. Fox, I'm telling you, 3 votes and 8 votes. Wow. So anyway, and I see Rod Smith's here with us this evening. Let me see on anybody else. Nope, that's it. Rod, thank you very much for your interest in being part of the council. I hope that you continue to work with us and volunteer your time. I think you're an asset that we can use if you're willing to be part of it. So, thank you for that. I think both of you fellows ran outstanding campaigns. That's the way it should be. All right. So, this week is National Police Week from May the 11th to May the 17th. And so if you would, please remember our officers, and there'll be some special services next week, some special ceremonies next week, starting on the 16th. So it'll be downtown at Parkersburg at the Parkersburg City Building, that annex area that's out in front where the water fountain is. But anyway, so always a nice affair. So anything else? All right. No comments? Meeting adjourned. Tom, I told you we